Well, hey folks, welcome back to Total Party Skills. So, this fucking thing, the Marvel Multiverse role playing game Playtest rulebook, I did like a kind of a film it with my camera overview the other day and kind of did a first impressions video and actually have had a rather remarkable amount of comments come in on those. And also, welcome to all the new subscribers, the few of you who decided to go ahead and hit that button after seeing those. Let's see how long you stick around. I guess some of like questions that I kind of get, I don't know, get raised in my mind, kind of as counterpoint to some of the comments that I've received. I don't want it to come across as if I'm saying like all the charts and tables are unusable. I just don't think that they're going to be terribly attractive to new players. And is this, really going to be a game that older, quote unquote, smarter gamers are going to be into playing even? That I think is debatable. Looking at it just from like a commercial marketing point of view as best I can, as I was saying, this has all the potential ingredients to be a great alternative for starting off brand new people who to the role playing game genre who might not be interested in the swords and fantasy elements that Dungeons and Dragons provides, and they're more pop culturally comfortable and familiar with the Marvel universe and the kind of tropes that come along with it, and so this could be a great gateway. But more math heavy rule systems are going to be a little bit of a drag on a younger, newer player group, especially in modern times. This isn't like the 80s and 70s when people in school actually like learned advanced classic, I guess what we would call nowadays business math. I mean, like a lot of the current crop of young adults and teenagers in a lot of different schools are being taught like disruptive ways of doing math equations and stuff that gets away from just the classic, quote unquote, easy type way most of us learned how to use math back in the day. So, to some degree, the fact that this relies more on that older version of mathematical thinking, that's also could be potentially be a barrier. But no, yes, obviously, like people who understand how to do 57 plus 13 and all that kind of stuff on the fly will be perfectly fine. But I do think that there is something to be said about rules systems that have like an easy to understand dynamic. That most of the dice dynamics and challenges, skills, all of which kind of function along a basic enough model that on the fly while in play you can just spit out difficulty numbers and know kind of roughly what the damage values and hit points are going to be without having to stop and go and look and stuff. Yes, if you're prepared and have all your NPCs charted out and all, that's all well and good, but in-game players will inevitably at some point drag you off of your planned material and you're going to have to be forced to improvise something, which means you're going to have to stop and go and look at these books frequently, to be able to whip up stats for an unexpected NPC on the fly kind of a thing. And that can also be a little bit of a drag on the overall momentum of a role-playing game as a session. The thing is like no matter what happens, like this the core rule book when it comes out, will be a moderate success. People are going to buy it no matter what. There's both enough people who are into role-playing games who will be curious enough to check it out, who will buy it, and then also there's going to be an overlap with Marvel fans who'll check it out to buy it. There might be some curiosity players, maybe 1 out of 10 of them might actually bother trying to play this thing. Will any of them stick with it? What exactly is your goal there at Marvel for putting out this role-playing game? Do you want to just have a nice, pretty shelf sitter, or do you want something that people actually, build word of mouth out of as actually being something that's fun to play? I'm not like just like shitting on it or complaining just for the sake of shitting on it and complaining. Like I said, there's actually great potential here in concept. It's just that these role systems, I just don't think, really match the kinds of players that it should be targeted with this kind of material. In some ways, all the charts and tables and shit makes it kind of oddly OSR-ish. And I mean, so who is this being marketed for? Is this supposed to be for the young up and coming players, or is this like some sort of weird apology to all the people who are in their 40s and older, who are into role playing games and used to like comics and still have somewhere in the recesses of their memories remember a time when they liked all this shit and it wasn't just one gigantic complaint fest all the time. In which case, why not just graft off the D20 rules anyway? They're free to use. You could read like the Marvel attributes in this, like map pretty well onto strength, dex, constitution, the vigilance, ego, and logic. I guess you a little debate on which one of those is supposed to be charisma and which one of those is supposed to be wisdom. But like all those are basically just mild thesaurus variants on the exact same shit anyway: might, strength, resilience, constitution, agility, dexterity. So like it already is kind of using some vague shadows of D20-ishness in it anyway. I don't know. It's just like I said. Like I would like to see it be a functional game that people would actually like to play. Because, like I said, I think it's got potential, and in many ways, it's several years kind of past its due. Like there should have been a big hit Marvel role playing game out already. Thing is though, like, is this even really a playtest rule book? Shauner had pointed out, and I mean, like, I noticed it, but it didn't really, like, register in my brain. But isn't it kind of weird how many playtesters are already listed in this thing? It's been playtested. You've already determined there at Marvel to go forward with this version. You've already had some people toy around with it. So what is this really doing? Is it because, like, you've playtested these rules, but you know that there's something dysfunctional about them, and you're just like kind of just putting it out there and some sort of trick to get paid, to get feedback back. Not to mention having to go to the website to fill in stuff. Like, who knows what sort of data tracking things, come along with that. Because are you just be able to go anonymously onto a website and just leave a message? Or are they going to want you to sign in and, like, upload some sort of QR code or something to prove that you actually purchased the book or any of that kind of stuff? Like, otherwise anyone could just sign into the marvel.com/RPG and leave whatever made up notes they might have on it. And is anyone actually going to read that? I feel in a way doing YouTube videos is probably actually more likely to actually get someone to listen on the off chance that any of this material gets in front of these people. I've written a fair share of role-playing game stuff. I invented a rule system pretty much as I was writing it. And to my surprise, like, I've now had numerous people who've purchased these books, like, at first saying, like, oh, I just like the premise of the adventure or campaign scenario, but I was going to use a different rule system, that upon seeing the rule system are like, wow, this is like one of my top 3 favorite rule systems of all time. So, I might, not be the best public speaker in the world, but, I know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to this kind of shit. I've spent a long time toying around with rules and campaign settings and all that kind of stuff. I've put in my 10,000 hours. And, I'm not sure if this is even legit. Like I said, you already have a bunch of playtesters playtest this thing, so what exactly is it that you need us for? Unless you know that there's something seriously wrong with it. If you know that there's something seriously wrong with it, having a core rulebook already scheduled to be put out next year, that implies that already a significant amount of pre-production has already kind of gone into having that thing laid out. I would imagine. So, like, are you in a position where you can, completely, ditch, 90% of the rules material you've already generated and give it a complete overhaul in the amount of time you've given yourself before the core rulebook is supposed to come out? I have my doubts. Because of this is a product of a big company with a bunch of sub companies. There's gonna be a lot of different people with their fingers in this fucking thing. So what is it that any of us even here who've bought this thing can tell you to do with it that you can actually do anything with? Probably of all my complaints in my last video on the subject, I mean, I guess, that could lead y'all to design a better character sheet, and that would at least be a start. It's not the worst character sheet in the world, but it's not good layout. Just trust me on that. It's not a good layout. The stuff that's the most important is printed all real small, and then you have all these big open ranges of like space that, if someone needs to have that many notes on their character's personality and history, they can just get another sheet of paper, can't they? This is all space that could be being used to more boldly show and describe the character's actual statistics and what they're capable of doing, and what those powers will do, and all that other kind of stuff. The character creation system is flawed, to say the least. The chart things, like I said, that it's not that it's unusable. I mean, yeah, you can find the page you need to find, look at the rank, cross-reference. That's all easy. I'm just saying it's not attractive from the point of view of someone trying to run it, because it's not very in the moment intuitive to use. And I can see it being an issue, once again, like I say, for newer players. I deal with new players from time to time. It's been a couple of years now because of all the pandemic and stuff. But once again, I'm not just entirely talking out of my ass on that. So who is this for? If this is not for the new people, is this really the thing? Like I said, a chunk of that older audience is getting increasingly alienated to the Disney brand, and a lot of the mainstream IP brands, just because of how they've been behaving, and so I'm not really sure if this is really what the people want. I don't know, and is it really just kind of a subtle? Here, buy an ad to get yourself hyped up for something that's coming later that they've already developed and is already in the works. You've already play tested this shit. You already have scheduled the book to be made. I just, some of my feedback on it would be, don't make a big hardback core rule book. Stick to the table, what the fuck I could call it, the trade paperback formatting, and have all your books be like that. Have the core rule book ones would be a bit thicker, obviously, than this size, but you'd have a player's book, you'd have a DM's book, and you'd have all sorts of different issues on different subsections of the Marvel universe that can contain various characters and power sets and all that other kind of stuff. Like I said, do you want to just sell a book that's going to sit on someone's shelf and only get pulled down just so people can look at it out of curiosity every once in a while? Do you want to actually continue to sell products based on this? Is it just going to be a one-time thing? You put out the core rule book, it's got everything in it, and there's no reason to buy anything else except for Marvel branded dice sets, which are only 3d6, and one has it fundamentally, someone there and your marketing team is misleading you or doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And so, I don't know. You don't have to listen to me, but don't listen to whoever the fuck is selling you on this, because this is a flop in the making. A flop that'll make money, but will it continue to make money? If set up properly, you could sell source material on this for years to come. Or you can just sell one big novelty book. Just the same as, here's a bunch of articles and old clips of images from classic issues of Spider-Man in a collector's tome that's a coffee table book. That's kind of what this is looking to be, just the role-playing game equivalent of. And it doesn't have to be that way. I still have enough fondness for Marvel that I'm able to overlook, some of the negative trends that the company's been following. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a toss the baby out with the bathwater kind of person. So, and in some ways, I'm more on your side than you would think. As I keep saying, I might sound like my complaints are harsh or unnecessary or vindictive. None of that's the case. I want you to make a better product because I would like to see more actual competition out there against Dungeons and Dragons, so it doesn't just continuously dominate the whole fucking market. And you guys at Disney, I know you like making money, and I know you like selling all sorts of accessories and shit, so approach this a little differently, and you might be able to have a success. But in its current form, no. And I'm not exactly even sure what the hell this book is for at this point. If it's already play tested and you already have, the main book in the works already, and so that you don't really have the time or the ability to just completely revise everything. You're just like, yeah, is this really just all just a way of tricking people into buying an advertisement for something that'll be out later? I guess that's up for you to decide.